Hytale launched. And I need you to understand something. This shouldn't have happened. And the most awesome part is they are going to add a tribute in Hytale for the Technoblade, Hypixel Studios, the same server Techno dominated back in 2013. But here's what most don't know. Techno was one of Hypixel's first feedback team members. At 14, he helped build the server. At 16, he applied to work for them, but was too young. 3.5 years after his death, Simon Collins Laflamme, Hypixel's founder, got permission from Techno's father to add a tribute in Hytale. He was a big part of our journey with Hypixel, and I wish for him to be part of this one as well. Technoblade never dies. If we go back to the game, this game was dead, canceled, gone. The studio shut down, developers laid off, and millions of fans left staring at a frozen website, wondering what the hell just happened to 7 years of anticipation. And then, in what might be the most dramatic turnaround story in indie gaming, the original founder bought his game back from the company that killed it, rehired 30 developers, and pushed a launch in 8 weeks. So let's talk about what actually happened here, because this isn't just a game launching. This is a resurrection story. December 2018. Hypixel Studios, the team behind Minecraft's biggest multiplayer server, drops an announcement trailer for their first standalone game. 31 million views in 1 month. To put that in perspective, Fortnite's Season 5 trailer, the most watched gaming trailer of 2018, took 6 months to hit 48 million views. Hytale did half of that in 30 days, from a brand new studio. For a game that didn't even exist yet, the community saw what they'd been waiting for. A Minecraft successor built by people who actually understood what made block games work. Voxel building with RPG depth. Creative tools designed by modders who knew what creators needed. A game that respected the intelligence of its audience instead of dumbing things down. The hype was real. The vision was clear. And then everything went wrong. April 2020. Riot Games acquires Hypixel Studios. On paper, this looked good. Riot had the resources, the engineering talent, the infrastructure to help a small indie team scale up. Simon Collins Laflamme, the founder, stepped back from day-to-day development to focus on family and health, trusting Riot to deliver on the vision. Here's what actually happened over the next 4 years. Nothing. Well, not nothing. They rebuilt the engine from scratch in C++ for cross-platform support, mobile, console, PC, the whole ecosystem. 4 years of engineering work went into the engine, and at the end of those 4 years, the game was barely playable. Simon Collins Laflamme's words, not mine. "It's a damn miracle we were able to salvage Hytale," he said after getting it back. Because what Riot had been working on wasn't Hytale anymore. It was a technical exercise in cross-platform development with no actual game attached to it. Scope creep, developer burnout, over $100 million spent with no clear path to completion. The original vision, the game that got 31 million views in a month, buried under layers of technical ambition that had nothing to do with why people wanted to play Hytale in the first place. June 23rd, 2025. Riot Games announces Hytale is canceled. Hypixel Studios is shutting down. 7 years of development, millions of fans waiting, and it's just over. The announcement was abrupt. No apology, no explanation beyond overly ambitious. Just a shutdown notice and a community left in shock. And here's the thing that made it worse. Simon didn't have control anymore. He'd sold the IP to Riot, the game he created, the vision he'd built, the community he'd fostered. None of it belonged to him. He couldn't save it even if he wanted to. For 5 months, the Hytale community existed in limbo. The website stayed up but frozen in time. Social media went silent. Fans archived every screenshot, every blog post, every development video, preserving a game that would never release. It should have ended there. For most games, it would have. November 17th, 2025. Simon Collins Laflamme announces he's bought Hytale back from Riot Games. Let me be clear about what this means. He negotiated with the company that just killed his game, convinced them to sell him back the IP, estimated at $20 to $30 million, and then had to figure out how to actually finish a project that Riot's own engineers couldn't make work. The blog post went up titled, "Hytale is saved!" 30 developers rehired immediately. Personal funding commitment for the next 10 years from both original founders. And here's the decision that changed everything. Abandon Riot's new engine entirely. Go back to the legacy build. The version from 4 years ago that actually worked. The community went from despair to cautious hope in 24 hours. But there was still a massive question. Could they actually pull this off?
What happened next is borderline insane from a development perspective. Simon and his team took a 4-year-old build of the game, a version that had been abandoned with hundreds of conflicting code branches, and merged it all into a single working build. They fixed core systems, camera, movement, combat, crafting, building, audio, rendering, squashed thousands of bugs, added new features in 8 weeks. On November 18th, Simon released 16 minutes of raw and broken gameplay footage. His words. He wanted to show people exactly what they were getting. An unpolished, unfinished early access build that wasn't ready for prime time. He priced it at $20 because charging more didn't feel right. He told people the game wasn't good yet. He warned them about bugs, missing features, rough edges, and the community showed up anyway. Pre-purchases secured 2 years of development funding before the game even launched. Over 1 million players expected on day one. Because this isn't about getting a polished AAA experience. This is about supporting a founder who fought to save his game when the corporations that owned it gave up yesterday. Hytale entered early access, and it's rough. Simon wasn't lying about that. This is genuine early access. Bugs, missing features, unpolished systems. Adventure mode isn't in the build yet. What you're getting is exploration mode, survival sandbox, and creative mode, building tools. But here's what's actually interesting. It works. The game launches, servers hold. Over 420,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch within hours of launch. The 2018 announcement trailer is now at 62 million views. Double what it had when the hype started. Performance needs work. There are crashes. NPCs behave weirdly. The building system has quirks. All of that is true, but the foundation is there. The creative tools are robust. The vision that people got excited about in 2018 is visible in the build, even if it's not finished yet. And speaking of that vision, let's talk about what you can actually build in Hytale. Because all the drama, all the story, all the comeback narrative, none of it matters if the base building mechanics don't deliver. So here's what Hytale actually gives you when you sit down to build. Let's talk about Hytale's building system, because this is where things get interesting. Hytale uses a voxel-based building engine, and if your first thought is, so it's Minecraft with better graphics, you're missing what makes this different. The core is block-based, sure, but Hytale's approach to what you can actually do with those blocks is where the depth shows up. The block system. Here's the thing about Hytale's blocks. They're not just cubes. The game supports standard full blocks, but also slabs, stairs, wall blocks, pillars, roof blocks, and beams, all derived from the same base material. So when you grab quartzite, for example, you're not just getting one block type, you're getting access to multiple texture variations and all those structural shapes right out of the gate. What this means in practice, you can build with actual architectural detail without needing mods or custom textures. Roof blocks have actual slope geometry. Wall blocks let you create railings that are thinner than full blocks. Pillars add vertical detail. It's the difference between building a box with a flat top and building something that actually looks like a structure. And the materials themselves. RGB tinting lets you shift the color balance of any block dynamically. The game uses this for natural variation in biomes, but builders can leverage it for custom palettes without hunting down 47 different block types. You work with the blocks you have and adjust them to fit your vision. Creative mode. The real power. Now, if you want to talk about what separates Hytale from other voxel builders, we need to talk about creative mode, because this isn't just fly around with infinite blocks. This is a full creation suite. Scripted brushes are the standout feature here. These are asset-defined brushes that let you generate terrain features procedurally, mountains, grassy paths, procedurally generated ruins. You're not placing every block manually. You're sculpting with intelligent tools that understand context. And here's the key. These brushes are moddable. The community can create and share custom brushes, which means the tool set expands over time. The shape brush lets you place geometric volumes instantly, spheres, pyramids, cones, walls. You control material, density, thickness, and can apply masks for precision work. For large-scale terraforming or foundation work, this cuts build time dramatically. Then you've got the selection tool, which handles 3D area selection for copy, paste, rotate, move, and extrude operations. This is world edit level functionality built natively into the game. You can select an entire structure, duplicate it, rotate it 90 degrees, and place it somewhere else without leaving the game or installing plugins. The prefab system lets you save your builds as reusable assets and load them into a separate prefab editor for refinement. You build something once, refine it, save it, and drop it into future projects. For anyone building multiple structures or working on server content, this workflow is essential. And if you're into machinima or content creation, Hytale includes a full cinematic tool with camera actors, keyframes, and movement speed control. You can record time lapses, create tours, or produce actual cinematic sequences inside the game. The toolset is designed for creators who want to do more than just build. They want to showcase what they've built. Exploration mode building. But what about building in survival? Because creative mode isn't impressive, but most players spend their time in exploration mode, where resources matter, and you're building under actual gameplay constraints. The good news? Exploration mode still gives you access to the full range of block types. You craft a workbench, gather materials, and you're working with the same slabs, stairs, pillars, and roof blocks that creative mode offers. The building system doesn't get stripped down just because you're in survival. The challenge, you're gathering those materials block by block. No infinite inventory, no brushes, no copy-paste tools. It's traditional survival building, which means your base construction happens incrementally as you progress through resource tiers. But here's what makes it work. Hytale's block placement includes rotation and connected block systems. Placing blocks feels responsive, and the game handles things like automatically connecting fences or aligning directional blocks. It's the small quality of life improvements that make survival building less tedious than it could be. So why does this matter compared to other voxel builders? Hytale integrates professional-grade creative tools natively. You don't need external editors, you don't need plugins, you don't need to export your world to edit terrain. The tools are part of the game, which means learning curve is lower and workflow is faster. The modding integration runs deep. Blockbench plugin for custom models, node editor for scripted behaviors, server source code being released for full customization. The game is designed around the assumption that players will create content, not just consume it. And the block variety within materials gives you architectural flexibility without inventory bloat. You're not carrying 200 different block types. You're carrying a few base materials and using the built-in variants to add detail. Is Hytale's building perfect? No. The game just launched in early access, and it shows. Creative mode tools are robust, but there's still bugs to work out. The snap system can be finicky. Performance tanks with massive builds, voxel rendering is expensive, and the engine is still being optimized. Exploration mode building is functional but basic. You're gathering resources, placing blocks, building your base. It's survival building as you know it. The advanced tools are locked to creative mode, so if you want to sculpt terrain or use selection tools in survival, you're out of luck. And here's the big caveat. Adventure mode, the full RPG experience with quests, narrative, and structured progression, isn't in the early access build. What you're getting right now is exploration mode, which is essentially sandbox survival, and creative mode. The game's full vision isn't realized yet. But here's what Hytale gets right. It gives builders room to create at scale without fighting the engine. The tools are there. The block variety is there. The creative freedom is there. It's early access, which means rough edges, but the foundation for something genuinely different is in place. If you're someone who loves voxel building and wants access to professional grade tools without external software, Hytale's creative mode delivers. If you want survival building with actual architectural block variety, exploration mode gives you that. And if you're willing to be patient through early access development, the potential here is significant. This is Hytale's building system, voxel construction with depth, creative tools with power, and a vision that goes beyond Minecraft, but newer. Whether it fully delivers on that vision depends on how development progresses from here. So that's Hytale, a game that shouldn't exist, launched by a founder who refused to let it die, running on a legacy build that was supposed to be obsolete years ago. Is it polished? No. Is it finished? Absolutely not. Is it worth $20 to watch this thing develop and support a team that's actually being honest about the state of their game? That depends on what you value. If you want a complete, polished voxel RPG, check back in a year or two. If you want to be part of the community that helps shape what this becomes, and you're okay with early access roughness, this might be the right time to jump in. The story isn't over. This is chapter 2, not the ending. But after everything this game went through to get here, the fact that it exists at all is something worth acknowledging. Hytale is saved. Whether it becomes great is still TBD. But right now, it's alive. And that's more than we had 6 months ago.